So the Yankees currently have, a pitching problem, obviously, with Corey Kluber's looming potential injury. Now we don't know the details yet of the MRI, but we should find out, within the 24-hour period after it was taken. But that said, I mean, look at the depth we have behind the current rotation. We've got Davy Garcia, and he's got some experience, so he'll likely be called up if Kluber or when Kluber goes on the IL. And I fully expect him to go on the IL, at least for one round, depending on the severity of this thing. And he's, again, he's been serviceable. He's been up here, but he's still young. He still needs time to develop and so on. So I would not be overly motivated to throw him to the Wolves just yet. I wouldn't be overly motivated to throw anybody to the Wolves right now. And I've said this way earlier, months ago, because transitioning from a 60-game season to a 162-game season can be very dangerous for starting pitchers. Increasing the workload by that much can really put somebody out. So, and that's, I mean, whether you're going from 80 innings to 200 or whether you're going from 0 to 80, doesn't matter. It's still going to be taxing on the arm. So, something to keep in mind. But there's one person that the Yankees have coming back that people are, he's just kind of flying under the radar, and that's Luis Severino. A young, dynamic starter. He's coming back from Tommy John surgery. He's looking really well in his rehab, which is essentially his spring training right now, in which case he would be ready at some point in the summer, probably July, maybe even later. But that said, I urge caution. Excuse me. I personally, and he's already throwing darts 97 miles an hour in these simulated games, so, which is a good sign, but I would not, under any circumstances, just me speaking, put him in as a starter anywhere this year. Nowhere. I would have him go relief and long relief, and that's it. Let him build up strength through a hard inning and through, because when he was starting with the Yankees before, he was pretty dominant through 3 or 4 innings, and then sometimes he would have a really bad inning and then struggle or something like that. So at most, I would have him go 3 innings, maybe 4 at some point. They should build him up to that, and then have him transition back into being full strength in 2022. Tommy John surgery is temperamental, so are shoulder problems. So, and it just shows. This just shows how fragile pitching can be, and how easy reoccurring injuries can happen when you already had somewhat of an injury history. In this case, Corey Kluber's situation over the last 2 years, he's had quite a few injuries, and now he's got another potential one. Jameson Taillon is no guarantee to stay healthy either, so, which is why, I said it, I would acquire a pitcher at the deadline, but when Luis Severino comes back, I would have him in the pen. And I would not put him in the starting rotation. Let me know what you think of that. And again, I'm speaking from caution. He's got 2 more years of control, and he's under control for $10 million per year. And he was one of our most talented and most dominant starters, but he went down with Tommy John. So, in my opinion, it's very important to baby him back to full strength in this situation. Particularly if the Yankees want to win the World Series, they have to be as disciplined and as kind of diligent as possible with keeping their players healthy. And that's the way to do it. And I know there's a lot of calls for Max Scherzer, and believe me, I'd love to see him here too. But keep in mind, Hal Steinbrenner has a $210 million payroll mandate, so the chances of him bringing him over are very, very low. I mentioned a couple of other starting pitchers that could be more realistic options to keep the Yankees within the threshold. There's a video on that below, as well as a video I did on the left-handed bats that are realistic options too. That video is down below as well. So take a look at them if you haven't. That way you can see kind of my logic on what the criteria is and how the Yankees can maybe incrementally get better without going over that threshold. In which case they would not be resetting their luxury tax penalty back down to 20%, which is exactly what they want to do. That's why they're trying to stay under the mandate. They're trying to stay under the threshold as per the mandate to reset it so that they can spend more aggressively in free agency this offseason. So, and they've already acknowledged that. So unless, I'd be surprised if Hal changes his mind and says, "Hey, go for it, bring in what you need to do. Let's go for the World Series." I mean, he may very well do that, but it's unlikely, particularly with the team that they currently have out on the field. So, and again, this is indicative of a lot of injuries that kind of happen on a regular basis with the Yankees. Hicks is out. Stanton's out. He's working his way back. And you know, we still have Zach Britton out. Darren O'Day out. So we've got quite a few people that are out. And, you know, we want to ideally bring them back and keep them back. So, you know, and that's what I'm hoping that their logic is, which is why I would be very cautious with Luis Severino. The last thing we want is a major setback again because they rushed him back. You know, they said, oh, we need more starting protection and depth. I understand that. I would not do that this season at all. So, you know, if you have a starter who's struggling through 3-4 innings, then you bring in a Severino to go 3 or 4, and then you move over to the bullpen. That's the whole point of that. If he can give you 2 or 3 or maybe up to 4 at some point, just really good, solid innings and get guys out, I mean, that to me is a perfect transition back towards being a regular starter next year. And we've known, I mean, Jameson Taillon is a clear example of bringing somebody back too quickly from Tommy John and having to get it again. Don't want that to happen with Luis Severino. We want him to get back up to their, you know, that ace level. So he could be a 1A behind Garrett Cole or a 2 behind Garrett Cole, or you know, or 3 if they happen to bring in someone else. And I know there's also calls for the Luis Castillo, and we've discussed this before. But again, Luis Castillo's salary is high. They're not going to stay under the payroll threshold. I would not even entertain these guys unless Hal Steinbrenner shows a willingness to go over it. It's pointless because one of the most reasonable salaries they had that they could use in a package to offset most of the money coming back here was Aaron Hicks at $10 million per year, but he's hurt for the year now, so they're not going to find a taker for him. I'd be surprised if they did, I should say, and it just doesn't make any sense. So who else are they going to trade that's going to help them offset salary to bring in somebody like Scherzer or Luis Castillo or even a Kyle Hendricks? Like, you know, we're having to look at other guys. I'd be looking at Rich Rodriguez, another reliable long relief guy. I'd be looking at Danny Duffy from the Kansas City Royals. But that said, is that enough? I don't know. I'm more concerned with what they're going to do with Luis Severino and even Davy Garcia. Are they going to throw Davy to the Wolves? I don't know. I mean, it would be really cool to have Davy and Severino coming back at the same time, but that's not the situation right now. And so we'll see. But the point of this video is to just exercise caution when it comes to Luis Severino, not rush him back because Corey Kluber might be hurt. I hope that Corey Kluber comes back. I hope this is a short-term thing and he comes back at full strength. And I hope that they use their bullpen pieces wisely to help him kind of ease his way back in. And I hope that they use somebody like a Davy Garcia. I mean, Clark Schmidt's the other option, but he's hurt again. So he's not fully back and he has setbacks. So can't rely on him to stay healthy either. And he's already been, you know, coming back from Tommy John. And so that's where I think Davy Garcia is the most logical weapon. And he's kind of a low-key pitcher like Corey Kluber. So hopefully if he does come here, he'll be productive. And we'll go from there. But Luis Severino, I would stay away from it in terms of bringing him in the rotation. So give me your feedback on that. Let me know what you think. If you have if you have trade proposals, I have a lot more coming too. So, let me know what yours are. Let's trade some thoughts and ideas. So thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you next time.